Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And with that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time. All right, thank y'all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
Hi, I'm BAE.wav.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, what you do, give us that Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
So, I'm BAE.wav. I make waves for bays.
Ooh.
I am a cybersthetic tastemaker, which basically means I am super influenced and in love with virtual digital aesthetic. So, my whole aesthetic is curating vibes that are inspired by the internet. So that's where cybersthetic kind of comes from.
Gotcha.
So I make music, I make visuals. I am always photographing things. I love going to shows. I love dressing up. I love doing my makeup. I just do a little bit of everything. I'm just a big old ball of creation.
Yeah. I dig that.
Yeah.
And did you come up with the term cybersthetic?
Yes, coined specifically by me.
That's cool.
Cybersthetic tastemaker. I want people to know that when it comes to curating, I curated the cybersthetic vibe. So once it catches on eventually, you know where it came from.
Gotcha. Well, y'all, we're changing the format of the show. No, I'm kidding. Well, I dig that. What got you into music initially?
That's such an interesting question. Mostly because I'm just trying to think what got me into music. It's kind of funny when you fall in love with something that's just always been there.
Mm-hmm.
And so what actually got me into making music was being around it being made so much. As a kid growing up, it was something that I always wanted to do. I always loved music. So I went from, being an avid listener of okay, I really love this music. I love music videos. So if we're talking about the seedling, music videos is what got me into was that initial little tiny seed that made me want to make music. So I would watch these music videos.
What was one of the first big music videos for you?
Shop.
Okay.
Or there was the NSYNC, when MTV would making the video, that. So any of the videos that they really did for that, I think Candy Shop was one of the first ones that I remember seeing, just how they were filming it, how they were dressing everybody up, how they were editing the video. Yeah, that was a big one. So my love for music videos got me more interested in music in general. And then, that turned into me wanting to go to shows. So then at one point I started going to Coachella all the time, and that being around all the artists and that made me want to make music even more. But it felt oh, that's just a far off dream. It's one of those things that everybody is be realistic, be practical. So I focused on being realistic and being practical.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't have a sound effects guy, so I got to do them in real time.
Very big boo, right? But then the pandemic happened. And I think that shook stuff up for everybody in the world in some type of way. And so for me, I moved around a little bit, and then I was living in California. Then I moved to Denver for a couple of months. And I went back to California. And when I went back to California, there was this app that just started popping up and popping off called Clubhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got on Clubhouse, and one thing led to another, and I was just connected with all of these different creatives and creators and entrepreneurs and business people, just people who love to do whatever it is that they love to do. And they love to talk about it, all the yappers, and we love a good yap session. So that led me into I started getting around music sessions more. And I realized how accessible it was. And I was doing photography at the time. So I would always be taking photos of engineers, songwriters, producers, artists. I would be in sessions with every different type of artist, from like super, super, super big name type of people, like signed to labels type of people, to people. I'd be in rooms with people who had like an extra $200 that weekend and decided to get a session type of thing with independent artists, and just seeing the wide range of like the wide array of accessibility. I realized I could make music. So then I started making music.
Whoa.
And then I started loving it. And now here we are. Yeah.
Hell yeah, I dig that.
So that's kind of my...
That's cool. That is an interesting way to get into it, because usually I feel like, for at least a lot of people I know, it's the opposite. People like get into music, and then somewhere down the line they're like, I actually like this thing that's still connected to music more. So it's cool that you found kind of the other way in. And I mean, you definitely made some really cool music. So we'll talk about that more in the middle of the interview. But before we do, I have a couple foundation questions I check in with everybody on.
Beautiful.
Yes. And this first one is one we ask early. It's one we ask often. And it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
The first album that I ever bought with my own money was was an album that gave me so much buyer's remorse. Because I was very disappointed. Okay. At the time, there was this girl who was like super obsessed with Panic at the Disco, right? Like she literally had it in her, like, she literally had it in like her MySpace name or whatnot. And I wasn't into it because the very first song that they had out was I Write Sins Not Tragedies. And to be honest, based off of that one song, I wasn't into Panic at the Disco.
That's fair.
But then I heard some of their others, like I heard A Fever You Can't Sweat Out. To this day, it is one of my all-time, like, that's so just core, like.
I'm a big fan of I Constantly Thank God for Esteban.
Like I could geek so hard about that album specifically, but mind you,
I'm not saying it's on vinyl in this room right now, but
I'm definitely gonna have to be a little nerd for a second and see it, but I loved that album so much.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
It's so oh my god, the transitions. Oh my god, like that's one of the first albums that really blew my mind, like where I listened through the album and actually heard transitions. I heard them doing like rock and like electronic and pop, and like they have all these different elements, and don't even get me started on the visuals during that time period. So I fall in love with this album, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is amazing. I need to go buy this CD. I go to Best Buy, and it was sold out.
Oh no.
But their second album was out.
Oh no, Pretty Odd.
And so I was like, oh, this is their newest one. This is gonna be great. And I'm not
I know.
Gonna crap on Pretty Odd, but when you go in
here, I'll take this for a second.
Please.
Pretty Odd is a very like almost folky bluegrass. It is a drastic 180 from their previous album, and it was so different that people weren't like excited about it because there was no toe dip into a new realm. But I gotta say, I saw them tour during that album. All of the songs are incredible live.
It's still, mind you, it is still an amazing album because growing up, like I listened to the Beatles a lot. So the second I heard Pretty Odd, I was like, this is very, very much like the Beatles, and even all of the visuals that they did for that. But I was in my angsty era.
Yeah, you didn't want that.
I didn't want the Beatles. I didn't want to be like space cased out. I wanted to be gritty, nasty, and edgy. And like, I wanted to be like...
You wanted more eyeliner, not less.
Fever I couldn't sweat out. I didn't want to be pretty odd. Okay. So yeah, long story, not so short. That was my favorite.
I mean, that might be one of my favorite answers to that question. So thank you. As soon as you said their second album was there, I knew exactly what was going to happen.
Anybody who knows. Like if you go in trying, like thinking, just not like finally discovering a fever you can't sweat out and getting to listen to that all the way through. And you're like, oh my God, I need to hear this. And then you go and you're like, okay, pretty odd. Like we'll check it out. I don't know much about it, but like this should be cool. And
it's nothing like it. They are nothing alike.
Yeah.
Yes. But that, oh God, that brought me back to some moments, but I'm not going to get into it. We're going to move into the next question. What was one of the first live shows you ever went to? That was like specifically one you wanted to go to. It's like you saw it was happening, got the tickets, went to it.
I'm sorry. I'm so excited because my very, very first live show was Kesha. When she still had a $sign in her name. Okay. And it was so just, I fucking love her so much as an artist, as an entertainer, as a performer. Like I've loved seeing her grow from everything. But my very, 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 very first show was her. And it was hilarious because at the time, Haim, the band, like who ended up, like they ended up blowing up and they ended up getting pretty big. They had opened for her, right? And it was amazing. But what was crazy was at the time when they opened for her, I could not find them anywhere on the internet.
Interesting.
Only till like a couple years later, like they're popping up on, you know, magazine covers and like they're super accessible and all of that stuff. But at the time I was like, oh my God, these girls are so cool. I want more, but I could not find them.
Whoa.
Anywhere. And so that was like really frustrating. But also the most hilarious part about it was that was the first time I'd ever heard somebody get booed off of stage. It wasn't the girls. There was this guy who was performing, and I'm trying to remember his name right now. Oh my gosh.
I mean, if he got booed, it probably wasn't
Beardo. His name is Beardo. I also have not heard anything of him since, so I don't know. But like, I don't know what it was about like I don't know what it was, but people were just not
clicking with it.
Him.
Damn.
And like, yeah, they were not having it.
That's rough. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was not there, so I can't speak on it. The name sounds familiar, but I can't place a sound to it. So
it wasn't bad though. Like his music was fun. His music was cool. Like, it's
just not what the people were vibing. It's not what they were there for.
Yeah,
When did you say this was?
This was, oh, good Lord. I don't know. This was like 2011, maybe.
So it was like right before that big shift where like genres started blending more like consistently.
Yeah.
And so, I get that.
So he was pretty odd, but not like Beatles pretty odd. He was just an oddball. And I think that people just weren't like resonating with it at the time or whatnot. It was at some venue in Hollywood, like
oh yep, that's the place it'll happen to.
Yeah, but what was crazy was her crowd was actually so fascinating because outside of that moment, anytime like I would get bumped or something, people would be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like I would get nudged. Sorry, you okay? Like, and that just kind of blew my mind. Like, why? Like, everybody was so kind other than that. So I don't know what was going on with Beardo.
I think for at least that last bit, if it's not a show where that's expected, then that's considered a bit of a bother. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I mean, it's nice that they said that. You know what I mean?
But her music is so rowdy and everything. So it was funny to be in such a rowdy crowd, but people be so like, that's the only time that I've ever been in a crowd that was rowdy but apologetic.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was very interesting. It was,
See, now you have to find everybody from that show and recreate it again.
oh man,
and see if the same thing happens.
man.
That's a social experiment for sure.
That would be fascinating. I would actually just hop in my time machine and go back and experience it like now after.
Yeah, as long as you don't bump into you, it's fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. I know how. Trust me. We're not going to get too deep into it, but I know very well how time travel works.
Interesting. Well, we'll talk about that off camera. But before we officially get into the here and now, do you have a defining moment where you decided you wanted to take music more seriously?
Yes. When I made my very first record, because I just saw how possible it was. My very first record, 1111, was something that I actually produced, right? So, it was the very first time I was working with a producer at the time, and they were teaching me production. Like they were teaching me how to produce. We would spend once a week just doing these production sessions because I wanted to start learning how to produce. And so I was like, I really want to make drum and bass music. And it wasn't something that was being, out of all the sessions, I was in like at least 3 different sessions a day for like months, right? And I was always in these different sessions, and that was just a sound that wasn't being made out in LA anyways, in that capacity or whatnot. And so I was like, I really want to try to produce this type of stuff so I can get artists. At the time I was coming from when I first started music, I was coming from like, okay, let me be a producer first because I'm not in love with my voice right now when it comes to singing. So like, let me make some beats and let me get them out to people who could get on them because I know all of these cool artists. I could send stuff to people, blah, blah, blah. So I made the beat with the person I was working with, and then I uploaded it on Spotify and everything so I could, make sure that my artist name was out there, yada, yada. I actually put it up so that people could just hear it, and if anybody wanted to get on it, they could. And then I happened to be in a studio by myself, and the person at the time, they were like, you're in the studio, you're by yourself, you have all the recording equipment, like just do it. Because I was also learning how to engineer. I literally learned how to produce, how to engineer, how to songwrite, how to record, all in the same time period. I was learning everything all at the same time.
Were you learning it all in the same space too? Where you want to shout out the studio you're at?
It was like a home studio.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
So but it was like my best friend was in a relationship with this guy, and so I was working with them a lot, and so they actually built out in their apartment. They built out this whole professional home studio. Like it is super, super sick. So since I was always over there and stuff like that, that's how I was able to like just stay connected and work and all of that fun stuff. So yeah.
Hell yeah, I dig that.
Yeah.
I dig that. Well, let's go ahead then. Let's get on into you in the present day.
Okay.
And we're going to get a super easy one out of the way. How'd you pick the name?
Ooh. Okay, so I love Easter eggs. I just love doing like little bits because I am at the core a fangirl. And so .wav is a wave file, right? So when it comes to making music, like I said, initially I wanted to make music that I didn't go into music thinking I was going to be the artist on the music I was going to be making. Actually, when I initially started working with music, I went into it as a curator. Like I would curate playlists, and I wanted to kind of do like music supervising or like provide music to different visuals that people wanted to do, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, soundtracks and stuff.
Yes. That I went into it kind of, but that was also me like tiptoeing and kind of like pussyfooting into it because I was just too scared of like I'm not talented, blah, 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 all the stupid things you psych yourself out with, right? So I wanted to make music for women. like I love women so much, and I just feel like everything is just always so male focused. And so I wanted to make waves for BAEs. And BAE is not gender specific. BAE is actually gender neutral, but women and femmes are absolutely prioritized in the BAE-verse. They are the VIPs of like just everything, the world that I'm building, you know? And so I just really wanted to make waves for BAEs. And so it's like, if I'm making waves for BAEs, like I'm BAE.wav.
Oh yeah. I dig that. That is a very thought out and concise answer. And it fits very well with just your brand. And it is a very cool name.
It's sick.
Yeah, like it aesthetically, it's super pleasing. It's easy to remember. It's easy to spell. It sounds cool. It looks good everywhere. Like all in all, as a brand goes, as a name goes, you nailed it.
It's fun to say. It's like, yeah, BAE.wav. Like it's 6 letters and a dot in between.
Mm-hmm. Also, even if you slimmed it down to like acronym and it was just the big B dot little W, that would hit.
Yeah.
That would hit in so many ways. But that's the graphic art and design brain getting in here, and I don't want to push that in. So we're gonna move on to your
I mean, stylistically, it's very, 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 very specifically, and I need everybody to know this. It's all capital BAE.
Yep.
Dot little WAV.
Yep.
Because BAEs are the priority. So we have to make
the layers here. The layers
always. That, like I said, I love a good Easter egg. So it's just like, why is the stylization of it so specific? Like, don't give me just one capital B and then little lowercase IE. Like, no, all caps BAE, because what does BAE stand for? Before anyone else.
Oh.
So for me, it's like, what is a BAE? You know, like people would be on the internet and they'd be talking about like, oh, you know, chilling with BAE, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, what is BAE? Like, that's the woman that you put like that, or not even necessarily just woman, but like, usually it would be used in that context. Like, that's the girl that you're putting before anyone else. Like, that's your number one. That's your priority. And those are the girls that I'm like doing this for. Like, ladies, put yourselves first, okay? Put you first. I'm gonna help put you first, like, by leading by example.
Oh yeah, I dig that.
Yeah.
I dig that. Thank you for sharing that. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to your writing process.
Oh.
And we're going to break it up into chunks, but we're going to start right at the beginning.
Okay.
So when you get inspired, you're ready to make music.
Yes.
What are some of the things you do to get a track started?
Okay. So I have an unnecessary, amazing artillery vault of beats that I get that have been specifically made and curated, like that have been specifically made for me, right? Because people love the sound, they actually get the vision, they know what I'm going for, all of that stuff, right? So I'll listen to stuff, and when stuff catches immediately, then I'll do like a voice note and I'll save that for when I'm able to actually get in the studio. When like there's certain songs that I really want to like record to, I will write it down immediately. Like I have to, like if I was sitting here right now in the middle of this interview and something came up, I'd be like, I need to put this in a voice note real fast, like immediately, because I don't want it. There's been so many times where I'm like, oh, I'll remember that later.
Oh, no, never.
No. So sometimes, and actually since the way my writing process works is very interesting, and I'm trying to answer this as best as possible. Like, because I learned everything else later, like I'm actually a very, very, very late bloomer. Like a lot of my peers have spent their whole life. I took a detour. I was doing other stuff. I was focused on visuals. I was focused on everything else. I loved music, but it was something that I didn't like. I didn't grow up knowing everything.
Fair.
I didn't grow up training those skills the way a lot of the people around me did. And so I was always a writer, not necessarily like a music writer, but I was always writing stories, and I would, write poetry. And then that kind of transcended to trying to write songs. But I'm just like, I don't want to write to YouTube beats. So I don't have any beats to put these like song ideas too. So I was just like, I guess I'm just not meant to do that. Now that I understand music a lot more, I'm at a point where like I'll think of a song and I'll put it on hold and like I'll write it out and everything. I'll do my little voice note or whatnot. And when I'm able to add production to it, amazing. And then we'll build off of that. When I'm in a studio session, I love collaborating. That's like literally one of my favorite things to do because it's so interesting how everybody has all of these different perspectives and you're able to like, oh my God, you relate to that. Or I'm able, like, I'll tell stories to these songwriters that I'm working with. And the way that they're able to turn those stories into this record that I can sing that is going to be relatable to all these other people. My writing process is, varied. Like it just depends on what I'm doing when I love to write by myself. That stuff is definitely like the more angsty type of stuff. Something that I'm constantly working on learning more is like melodies and being able to like write to certain melodies, but I'll just take these ideas, like little ideas, and I just build on top of them. Collaborating is probably my favorite way to write though, because then I get to actually ping pong back and forth and volley with people. And it's just like, okay, well, what about this? Like, Wavy Joseph is literally, absolutely shout out to Wavy. He's one of my absolute favorite songwriters to work with because we'll be writing together and I'll have this little, I feel like I come with like maybe a little crumb and then he'll bring something back. And then all of a sudden we have this big old cake. That is just like, oh my God, that's so sweet. That's so edible. I can't wait to eat this up. Like, I can't wait for everybody else to eat this up. Let them eat cake. Like,
wait a second.
and then we make it and we make some really dope stuff. And it makes me feel, like excited that these things that I'm feeling, I can express them in a way that other people can figure out a way to express themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I dig that. That's cool. And then once you get a track finished writing, so it doesn't have to be like released or anything like that, but you've gotten it to where you can kind of start, getting ready to put it out there. How long does it usually take you to feel comfortable enough to perform a track?
Oh, let's talk about that, Jimmy. Okay, let's talk about that. Because the writing process is very interesting. When I'm actually writing, like, I literally have to write. Like, I have to get a pen and a paper.
Okay, so you're not just typing into your phone.
No, I mean, I'll do that. But like, for me, for something that's really going to stick, I'm a manifestation type of girly. So I'm very like pen to paper. Like that is what feels best. So with my writing process, I'll do that. And then depending on like when the song is actually, done or whatnot, when am I ready to perform it? I go into the writing process thinking about stuff that I want to perform. That's the only type of stuff that I really write. Like I'm going into this writing process like, okay, how is this going to sound at Coachella? Like, how is this going to sound when people are singing this back to me? Like, that is how I write. I write with performance in mind. And with that being said, it's hilarious because I came out for New Year's this year, right? Came out for New Year's, was able to write a couple of songs, was able to get some stuff done, and we had to crank it out quick because I was only here for a week. The songs that I wrote that time period, it's 3 months later, not even, and I just performed most of those songs like last night.
Oh, exciting.
So like the second the song is actually, once it's written, once it's like pretty much once I'm done writing it, I'm like, let's go. Let's figure out how we can get this on stage. Let's figure out how we can perform this right now. Like it's in my head and I'm singing it and I can't get it out of my head. Let's make sure that other people feel the same way. So I would love to see a day where I write a song in the morning and I'm performing it that night.
Hell yeah. Well, surprise, we're actually going to start right now. I'm kidding.
Fair enough. Let's do it.
That would be the coolest twist in a segment. I'm going to bring that back. I'm going to bring that in one day.
That's fair.
One day.
That's fair.
Be prepared. If you ever have a return moment, just know that might be in the wings.
Look, we'll have a writing session in the morning. Jimmy's writing Jimmy's jam sessions.
Yeah.
Jam sessions. I don't know. First thing in the morning. And then we go to your, your live show.
I've definitely like considered, I'm sorry when we get into the weeds in your episode, but I've definitely considered like some kind of in the process experience for the show. Just like something where it's more like, because, the showcases obviously are the live performances and there's a few other things, but like one where it's like, here is the making of and like what the moment looks like. So,
I love that stuff so much. That's the stuff that makes you want to make stuff because you see
other people making stuff.
It is. You're like, oh, that's great. Did you know that NASA has like used just like super glue and like actual foil to send people into space?
Yeah. I mean, shoot, the first computer that sent people into space was like 10 times dumber than our phones.
To send, and you're like, wait, no, what? That's crazy. That's crazy. And so once you realize how possible, like, once you realize how tangible something is, how accessible something is, you realize how possible it is. And all it takes is just the creativity, the willpower, and the support. And if you feel like you don't have that external support, then you amplify it internally until you have that external support. And then you can make the most insane things happen. So,
yeah. Oh, yeah. And actually, that's a good transition into this next bit. We're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about some of your music.
Let's do it.
So I jumped on SoundCloud for this one.
Oh no!
Well, that had one extra track. Spotify had almost the same stuff. One extra one on there.
Yes,
so
there is.
I went in there. I checked it all out, and I mean, you don't have a high track count.
No, not on SoundCloud.
But the like tracks themselves are all really good. They're very very well put together. They're like sonically they're tight, emotionally they're tight. The energy is there. I mean, we already talked about 1111, or at least I already talked about 1111 on my most recent solo episode, Jambox Listens. And I mean, it's a cool track. Y'all can go check it out if you want to hear the things I said about it there. But I want to talk about Crazy Little BB.
Sorry, not to scream right into the mind you, she's a screamer, okay? So I love Crazy Little BB. Let's talk about it because then I can actually tell you, because that each record has its own type of writing process, right? Because like I said, I am very much in a really, really dope space where so much of this is so new to me. I'm constantly learning and adapting and learning and adapting, and I'm doing it as quickly as possible. What do you want to talk about with Crazy Little BB?
Well, I checked it out, wrote some little notes down. And first thing I have to say, I really appreciate is that it has all the BAE.wav elements. It's got, big driving drums, tons of space, super melodic vocals with some great effects on them. I think your vocal effects, like your vocal effects chain, might be one of my favorites in the genre, in the realm, because it's not a minimal amount. It's clearly there. It's not like you were trying to like hide the fact that there were effects.
Right.
But the vocals are still so crisp. They're so audible. And the way that the effects come in really support that primary experience. Yeah. But what I thought was really cool is that track is, while like foundation wise, all of the things that like 1111 would have, it is very different.
Yes.
The energy is very different. It's much more like, and it's crazy to me because it's kind of just like 1111, how the drums are big, they're moving, they're grooving, but you just want to sit down while you're listening to it. It's a really cool experience. I'm a big fan of your sound in general. It's kind of cool to have heard how it's gotten to this point so far and how like relatively newer-ish in the realm it is, because your approach to it is clearly working. It has this very, very definitive sound to it. And for having a defined sound that early on, to be able to kind of cut through some of the noise at the start, that's huge. I am shaking waiting to find out what next music comes out from here.
Ooh. I love all of the new music that is going to be coming out. I got to perform some of it last night and it felt so good. The crowd loved it and everything like that. I just love creating this path in like the sounds that I want to make. You know what I mean? I want it to be exciting. I want it to be fun. I want it to be one of the biggest comments a lot of people end up saying about my music is that it's refreshing. And I love that because it's also, I love puns. So, you know, for like a wave to be refreshing, like, yeah, take a splash, dive in, like have some fun. So a crazy little BB, let's talk about her, right? Crazy little BB, shout out to Spady because he's actually the producer. He's somebody that I've been working with for years and has genuinely helped me shape and curate the sound for years. Cause like I'll give these ideas of like, hey, this is like what I want to do, or this is the sound that I like, yada, yada, yada. And his production is so fun, so amazing. But it's very interesting how Crazy Little BB came about. Okay. I was, one of my friends had a session at that studio that we were at, and they had gone in that day, and she was just super, super, super talented. She's freaking amazing. She's a really dope songwriter. She's a really dope artist. She's a really dope performer. She's just hot as hell. Like, she's a total bae, right? She's a total bae. And her name is Crazy Little Ari. And so she came in and, you know, we were hanging out, and the record that she the record that she wrote was also produced in that same time period. So in like an hour, they produced this record that was just like, oh my gosh, I love this record so much, but also I want to give them time and space to go, you know, do their stuff with it. So I kind of like went off to the side to the little cut or whatever. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm feeling so inspired by her energy. I know I can push myself to write a song right now. I have to, because like seeing the amount of time, like they did it so quick, but it was such an epic record. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I feel the magic in the air. I need to capitalize on this moment right now, be present. So let me go dive into my little vault that I have of all of these Spady production tracks. Let me listen through some stuff, and whatever just resonates immediately, we'll do that. So the beat for Crazy Little BB, the second I heard it, I was like, oh, this one's fun. This one's fun. This is going to be one that people are just going to want to have fun to. And my friend, best friend, she was in a relationship, and the relationship, she would just always be talking about it. Like her man just, I mean, from the outside, low-key resented her. But then, you know, she would just talk about like, he was always calling her crazy. Like he was always just calling her, you know, crazy, like it was a bad thing or whatnot. And he just wanted her to, you know, like chill out. And I don't know if you've ever been in a position where you fucking love somebody, but they drive you insane. And you're trying not to let on that they're driving you insane because you love them. And so thus Crazy Little BB was born. So, you know, I say I want to lift you up and take you high while you pushing all my buttons. Just enjoy the ride. I try to play it cool, but you don't know that you really drive me crazy, baby. Also, hilariously enough, I wanted to write a song about an elevator. And so I think the other story is just slightly better than saying like, hey, this song is written about an elevator. But like, you ever get in an elevator? So the idea too, like a little bit of the seed is, have you ever been in an elevator and somebody comes in and just presses all the buttons?
Yes.
Yeah. Really irritating. And I feel like that's kind of like symbolic of what those relationships feel like. Like you're just trying to get from point A to point B, and somebody comes in on some manic pixie dream girl type of energy and just decides to press all the buttons. So like, why are you pushing all my buttons? Just enjoy the ride. Like, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that insight. That's cool. It's just crazy how many layers exist in everything related to your music experience.
Always. It's always good. I really do stuff. I started as a fan. So everything that I do with my music is done from kind of like that perspective of like the enjoyment of breaking stuff down is what makes the final product really exciting. Because when you get to take it all apart and everything, and then you get to see all these different little pieces. So that's why it's so interwoven and so layered, because it's just like, I go into it from that mindset of somebody who likes to deconstruct things. Mm-hmm. So I want it to be fun. When people fall in love with it, like I want them to be excited to deconstruct it and really find out the lore or the how or the why or all the different layers. Like when you think of good quality fabric, it has a high thread count. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm doing with everything.
Dig that.
Yeah.
You need to get somebody to start a BAE.wav fan page now and write up all the lore, knowing that they know it's accurate, but just, people will be like, well, it's a fan page. This person just, how would they know? And periodically they'll say something that ends up being accurate. So they like follow it full time. But that way the like true fans can like learn all of this.
Yes.
And like you can create your own like Illuminati, but for hotties.
The hottie Illuminati. Okay.
I think that may be from something. So don't brand that one just yet. But if not,
that's fair enough. That's fair enough. First BAE to make a fan page gets VIP for life. Okay, so
excuse me, I'll be right back.
Fair enough. We know. We're waiting on you, Jimmy. Okay, like if anybody would know, you would know. You would find it all out.
That's true. Well, no, I don't take the Nardwuar approach to things.
That's fair.
That's everybody. I like to get to know people in real time. But actually, that segues well. Let's talk about. Actually, no, not going to do that yet. I almost skipped one.
Okay.
Important one. Ooh. Out of all the music you have, the music that it's either out or you're performing right now, what's your favorite track to perform?
My favorite track to perform, my favorite track to perform is actually Crazy Little BB.
Okay.
Because, and that's only because, I intentionally made it very simple. Like it's going to be really awesome, some of the different things that I have planned for it, because I intentionally made it a very, very simple canvas. Because one of the things throughout my career that I want people to see is like how you can evolve the same idea. Like you're not spiraling out, like you're spiraling upward into ascension, right? And so Crazy Little BB, I wanted to make it simple because the simple things are the things that make music more accessible for people who don't know how to make it. And that's also where I'm coming from. So Crazy Little BB, we have it short, sweet, simple, accessible, because anybody can get it stuck in their head, right?
Yeah.
Every single time I've performed, people sing that one back. Mind you, I take a little bit of time to teach them.
Yeah, you give them instructions.
But that's one that people always sing back. But last night when I performed it, it was the loudest that I've ever heard any one of my records like sung. Like dozens of people singing something that I came up with in my brain. Like to me, that's blowing my mind. But we were listening back to some of the footage and stuff from last night's show. And the crowd is louder than I was. And I had a microphone and speakers, on my side. And so like that blows my mind because it's it's fun. It's like be an airhead, be a space case, have a bubblegum brain. Like just you really drive me crazy, baby. Like, yeah, scream that at the top of your lungs because you want to. Just have some fun.
Hell yeah. I dig that. That's cool. Hell yeah. I'm glad we picked that song to talk about now instead of bringing 1111 back.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yes. Which I'm still standing on. I said it in the episode. I want to say it here. That song is genuinely the living embodiment of the flow state. Like that, every time I was listening to it, I was just like, I feel like this is what I hear in my head when I'm just doing anything consistently and well.
I love so much that you say that because I'm always working to better myself however I can, right? Because if you stay stagnant, what are you doing?
Yeah. I always say you start getting old when you stop learning.
Oh my gosh. Never stop learning, never stop teaching yourself more, like never stop mastering yourself, right? And in order to really master anything, you have to continue because things evolve, things change. So you have to stay with that, right? And one of my biggest focuses this year is the flow state. Like when I was talking about how I was telling a friend how I want to continue elevating and I want to continue growing as an artist so I can just continue being better and better for myself first. But then also for all of the BAEs so that they can see like hell yeah, we can do this. Like, if she can do it, we can do it. If she can do it, I could do it. Like, and if I could do it, then you could do it. Like, and the flow state is just so essential to everything. And once you're able to tap into that and really hone in on that, like, you're damn near unstoppable. And so I think that's just very beautiful, because 1111 is titled as such. Again, very manifestation girly. It's titled as such because it's the one that made me realize I could literally do anything that I want. So there's tons of magic poured into it. And the fact that for you, it resonates with a flow state, and that cycles in that magic, you know? And so that's such a beautiful thing. I'm so grateful that you have that experience with it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that too. Now I want to take a moment. I want to zoom out and look at more kind of music as a whole.
Okay.
What are some of the things you're listening to right now? What are you taking in? What's inspiring you? What is your just music intake experience at the moment?
Okay. So if you haven't already looked at my Spotify, I have hella playlists. So I'm always trying to listen to new music. And I make that a part of my routine, actually, in order to really listen to, more recently in life, the way I process and listen to like full projects, because I like to listen to music the way artists want to give it to you. You know what I mean? So when an artist puts out a full project, like, I want to listen to that artist, like that project top to bottom. And so what I'll do is I'll go for a run, because that's when I know I'm not doing anything else. Like, I'm not looking at my phone. I'm not multitasking. Like, I literally need to tap into the flow state to get through my run. And so to help me transcend into the flow state, I put on an album. What have I been listening to recently? My show mixes. But no, as far as like new artists go, who do we have? Most recently, the most recent album that I listened to was Nessa Barrett's new project. I listened to a lot of female artists. So I listened to that. I've listened to like Cowboy Carter was amazing. That's not a more recent one, but
it doesn't have to be recent. It's just what are you listening to right now?
Oh man,
what came out right now.
Yeah, most recently I've been listening to. Man, obviously I've been listening to Wavy Joseph's music.
Well, I mean,
just dropped.
Who doesn't?
He just dropped an amazing project. So I've been running that up. I personally love listening to Lily, Is That You? I love listening to, I've been listening to like Shy Girl. I've been listening to, why am I having like a space case moment? Oh my gosh, like I feel like I need to look at my whole playlist, because sometimes you just intake so much music.
Trust me, I get it.
And I've been listening to, Brandy Hayes. I've been listening to just drum and bass, different stuff in that kind of realm. Like obviously, we listen to Pink Panthers, but then we listen to I love Muramasa, who's actually like,
hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Man.
Whoa, what a cool answer.
Oh man. Like I love his production. I love the artists that he works with. I think, oh man, like love that. I've been listening to, I have my playlist on Spotify. It's called 1111. And I've been listening to a lot of artists that I have on that playlist. So
gotcha.
Angsty stuff, dramatic stuff. What is it? Dumbest Girl Alive by 100 Gex.
I love their newest album.
Oh, I haven't caught up just yet, but yeah.
It was at least from the people in my circle, it was a divisive album, but I liked it. I like it.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I've been listening to most of my playlists because that's the stuff that keeps me focused, amped up. It's the stuff that because I've been preparing for performing. So I want to listen to stuff that makes me, feel excited. Also, the other day, it just popped in my head and I was like, this is a good one to run back. So I was listening to Enya.
Oh, I love Enya. I don't care what anybody says. Enya's come up multiple times on this show.
Oh, yeah.
For various reasons.
Yes.
But I don't care anybody else's opinion. I love Enya.
Oh, man. That was something that my grandmother growing up, that was one of the ones, like, she loved Enya. She was always playing Enya. And so I think just the energy of getting ready to come out and perform, like, I don't know, I needed to listen to some Enya because she's just she's so like ethereal, and you feel like you're in a lighthouse and you're kind of like overlooking just the world, and you see all the ships passing by, and like you hear the sound of the waves, and there's like, no noise pollution of the city or anything like that. And I think I just wanted some of that energy. You know,
there's definitely like a serenity in her sound. Like it was growing up. My like stepmom would put it on all the time, and anytime she put it on, she was usually trying to relax, and like the whole house just calmed down a little bit. And so like anytime she would put it on, I would just kind of find myself in this like almost meditative space, but I didn't understand it because I was young at the time. So like I didn't quite get what was happening. And then way later on, I like went and revisited. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. So, Enya, if you're watching.
Oh, man.
Thanks for the music. Now, before we move into this next portion, this next question is probably the densest question in the interview.
Okay, let's do it.
But we talked about, your experience with music, the actions, the reactions. But when it's just you and music, one-on-one, what does music give back to you?
Oh, man. It's been a very emotional time recently. And mind you, I'm like, I rep for the crybabies. So, but what does it give back to me? Like, it's really tough when you spend a lot of time in your life just doubting yourself and listening to either your own internal projections or the projections of others around you who are telling you what you can and can't do, and you're believing them.
Yeah.
And music just gives back to me magic. It got like magic and reality. And it's so like beautiful when you can see that magic is real. And music genuinely gives me that. It gives me I didn't understand it growing up. My grandma would try to take me to church, right? And my favorite part of church was when everybody was singing. And my grandma was definitely one of those people, like she would just be and she would just be so tapped into that. I liked it because that was I was a kid. That was the least boring part of service. Yeah. Like that was actually fun. And I loved I loved everybody singing. I loved seeing people I loved seeing my grandma dance, you know what I mean? But when I went to Coachella for the first time, I understood my grandmother. And that moment when she would just be like lifting her hands up and just tapped in, and it's a magic of connection. It's a magic of possibility. It's a magic of like power. Like there's so much power in words, and then there's so much power in the absence of, because you have instrumentals. You have like the words of the world around you without any actual letters or syllables or anything like that. Like it's just so powerful. And to like, once you listen to it, like when you're listening to your favorite albums, like when I'm listening to A Fever You Can't Sweat Out, like I feel this portal open, and I'm able to like express certain things about myself that need to come out, that need to be expressed. And that's magical, because then if I go listen to Enya, I can simmer down. And speaking of simmer down, you asked about what I'm listening. Fouché. I have to run back and throw that in because Oh,
that reminds me. I have a rec for you after this. Yes.
Always taking them. But yeah, music gives me magic, and it gives me the opportunity to appreciate how beautiful it is to be alive and magical. Personally.
Oh, Damn, that was a really cool answer. Thank you so much for sharing that. Like, yeah, I'm not even going to add anything to that. I think that doesn't need to be torn down or broken down. I'm sorry, in any way. That was a beautiful answer. Thank you so much. All right, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions.
Oh, let's go. I love delusion. I love fantasy. I love hypotheticals. Let's do it.
And for these, sky's the limits. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. But this first one is pretty straightforward.
Okay.
If you could work with any one person,
Okay.
the only requirement is they have to be alive.
Okay.
Who would you want to work with, and how would you want to work with them?
Tizo Touchdown.
Oh, great
Tizo
answer.
Touchdown.
Great answer.
And I would want to make a whole movie with him. Okay. Like, I would want to make a movie with him where we do the soundtrack. We shoot it like we cast like I would just want full hands on from the both of us, like, and just connect with, like, that's somebody who I would love to creatively just ping pong volley ideas with, because he doesn't just think in music. Like, he's somebody who actually thinks in visuals and layers and all of this different stuff, and like the experiences that he's providing aren't just music, like, it's life.
Yeah.
And I got to see him live, and he's genuinely one of, like, my favorite performers. So I think it would be amazing to just make a movie with him. He's such a great storyteller. I love his perspective. I love just, man.
That's a great answer. Yeah. Hell yeah. And then subsequently, and I guess local is a wider band for you, but who is a local artist that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to interact with yet, but you would like to?
Oh, that one's tough. Because I have so much room to be put on in the city in regards to, like, local artists that I haven't connected with, because all of my friends that are out here are so freaking cool. And I've connected with all of them. And so it's just like, who do I not know that I would want to connect with? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I mean, I feel like this is probably one that's been said or whatnot, but like, the outside of all of the friends that I know personally already, obviously Amine is like,
yeah, hell yeah.
He's just so much fun. He's so much fun. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And isn't he technically local to both places for you at the moment?
Is he?
Well, because he's from here, isn't he? Down in LA now?
Is he
still up here?
You know what? I don't know. I try not
Somebody put that in the comments, because I'm pretty sure he moved to LA, but I could be wrong.
I think so. I mean, once you really start blowing up, you probably have a spot in LA.
It's a good place to go to add some weight in the middle. Hell yeah. And actually, everybody, you know what to do. Put some people in the comments that you think she should work with.
Please put me on. Let me know. I'm trying to F around and find out. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Fill me in.
Yes. And then for this next one, like I said before, sky's the limits, and it's pretty literal in this sense. But if you could perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power, it's guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show, and it doesn't have to be a venue. It could be anywhere. Where would you want to perform?
Okay. Oh my God. Okay. So you know how...
Oh no.
Yes. I would love to perform...
Sorry.
Like, my brain immediately just goes to so many different things. I would really love to perform on, like, a floating panel, like a floating island in the middle of the ocean. But like, you know how there's like islands that have a bunch of little islands around and stuff like that? I would love to perform on a stadium-sized, like, floating panel where there's a bunch of islands around. And so everybody, like, there can be a whole audience on that panel listening to the music, but then the music could also be heard on all of the islands around. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, you can get different types of experience. You could be super up close. You could be right next to me by the stage, or you could be on an island chilling with your feet up, just hanging out. You got a little bonfire going. You got your little mojito, or your Mai Tai, or
each island could be different themes too.
Oh my gosh! And then you just don't even get me started. Yes, Jimmy. Like, oh my God, that would be so fun, because then that would be like the ultimate wave fest. Like.
Yeah, and you could have different performances on each island that are like branded to the themes, but like either have them at like specific times where like boats can get from one to the other easily, or like in a series. So like some people can travel all the way around and then you headline in the center.
And that would just be so much fun. Yeah, and like each island, once the actual headline performance is going on, each island has like a giant projector screen. So like, you can not only hear it from the island, but if you want to like be communal, you can go hang out with the projector screen and turn up and have fun. And like you said, each island would have different themes, and there would be so many
waves.
There would be so many waves. There would be so many bays. There would be just so many good vibes.
Hell yeah, that sounds rad. Well, glad it's here now. When it finally happens, we're going to reference this back. Yes. All right. And then to wrap up the hypothetical questions, if you could get one more album from anybody, they could be alive, they could be dead, they could have not put out an album in 100 years, they could have put out an album yesterday. Who would you want an album from?
Oh my gosh. Who would we want an album from? Oh man. Well, low-key, part of me just... Childish Gambino. Can you please just drop Guava Island, the soundtrack? If I could have any, put Guava Island, put the soundtrack on Spotify so that we can hear it and enjoy it, because who would I want another album from? I'm excited to hear Rihanna's album.
Hell yeah.
I'm so excited. To hear her album. To be honest with you, though, if I could have one more album from somebody, you said they have to be alive?
No, it could be anybody.
That's so tough. I would want one more. Okay, can I be honest?
I would hope you are this whole interview.
So part of me really wants to say I would want another album from Selena if she got to stay, like if she got to come into the 21st century with all of the technology and everything because she was exploring some really, really interesting like sounds and vibes. Like she was really mixing and meshing not only language barriers, but like she was playing with different genres. She was playing with different styles. Like she was mixing rock and she was exploring like, I just gone too soon in the sense that like, girl, you would have loved drum and bass. You would have killed it. Like, she would have loved I feel like she just would have loved all of the things that she could do in 2025.
Yeah.
Like right now, I would want an album from her with what she'd be able to be accessible to in this year specifically. But then also part of me really, 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 really just wishes Avicii was able to release another album, not posthumous, because like...
Yeah, that doesn't pan out 90% of the time.
Mac Miller's was great.
That's the 10%.
Yes.
Yep.
But like, I really just wish that he could have dropped another album too, because he's also somebody, like, he's one of the reasons... He's one of like my core foundational inspirations.
His music was different for like, so like in a way that like rippled. So like if you waited too long, it wasn't different anymore because it was so influential. But there was something really special about Avicii's music for sure. Those are both great answers, by the way. I mean, all of those answers actually.
Both are genre benders, right? But with Avicii, like, at least in regards to like the electronic music type realm, he was blending like the vocal styles. He'd have these raspy female vocals doing almost like these jazzy type like like vibes, but the lyrics would just be so angsty. Like he was just like lyrically, his music was just so angsty, but then like the way that people would perform it was just so almost cabaret a little bit. But then he also would have like country on electronic, but then he would also mix talkbox in electronic music. And so he blended all of these different elements from these different things. And to see somebody do that so masterfully in a way that he was able to be a trendsetter, because like he would be different until he wasn't, because people would be like, oh my God, you're blowing my mind. And then people would catch up. And so I wish we could have gotten another album from him. I was actually at Coachella when I found out that he had passed.
Damn.
And it was like really like, oh my gosh, because then I would be passing by all of these stages and you would hear people talking about like, rest in peace, Avicii. And I'm just like, no, gone too soon.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for those answers. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up.
Okay.
What can we look forward to between, let's say, now and August?
Okay, we can look forward to more performances. We can look forward to more music. We can look forward to, between now and August, more Fly Fits. Obviously, if you follow on the gram, keep in touch. We can definitely look forward to just performances and music. That's really where I'm at right now. I have some really amazing new music that like I said, I've already started performing, but there's certain songs like, so there's this song called Motormouth Max.
Oh, it's a good name.
Oh,
that's a good name.
Oh, she's just so, she's so fly. So hot, right? But doesn't have any production. Like it's literally just a song that I wrote.
I thought you were going to say it doesn't have any words. And I was going to be like, that would have been
the irony.
The wildest name.
The irony.
Yeah, it's entirely instrumental.
That would be pretty crazy. No, there's this record that I really want to make called Motormouth Max. I already have it written out and everything, and I just need to like get some instrumentation to it because people have heard a lot of like drum and bass. People know me for like D&B, pop, that type of stuff, but people haven't. I feel like you get some elements of it in 1111 because it's actually very pop punk. Like it's written from a pop punk type of mindset. And I want to dive even deeper into that pop punk pocket. So Motormouth Max is going to be like when I'm in this more pop punk rock type realm. And I'm so excited to do that. So people can see some like more genre bending coming from me. You should hit up Mackenzie Joy. Ooh.
Get her to collaborate with you on that. She would be a phenomenal person to have for like just insight and perspective into that experience. That is. Yeah.
Love that. Love that.
Also, shout out Mackenzie.
Shout out Mackenzie. I'm excited to meet you. There's also this record called Saucy. And I have to give you guys the names because you guys are going to be like, when is Motormouth Max coming out? When is Saucy coming out? I want you asking me stay on my neck so I can stay on my producer's neck so we can get this stuff out and popping and happening. But look, Saucy is a totally different direction. And I'm so excited to track that. So with that being said, between now and August, you guys can also see more, but like there's going to be more behind the scenes of my creative process and everything, because I have these certain records that I'm like, one, I really want these specific records made, but then I don't just go in the studio and make one record.
Yeah.
Like we go in, we get a couple. So I'm excited for this creative process because we're starting to get into project mode. And so I want to share more BTS because, like I said, I come from being a fangirl. Like I want to show people the creative process of like, okay, as we go into project mode, as we start making these different records and stuff, like as we start performing more, what am I doing to, chisel away and be a better performer, be a better entertainer, be a better artist? Like more BTS, more music, more shows.
As far as being a fangirl goes, what's the saying? You have to you should love yourself before you can love anybody else. Isn't loving yourself just being your biggest fan?
Putting yourself before anyone else. Big Bay energy. Big Bay energy.
I think that. Well, definitely looking forward to all of that. Super excited. For this next one, go and look straight at your camera. Tell everybody how they can find you.
You can find me anywhere on the interwebs, okay? I have every single social media platform. You can find me on all of it. Most importantly, go find me where my music is at, okay? Whether you're a Spotify listener, an Apple Music listener, if you go onto SoundCloud, you'll actually get some more deep cuts from me where I throw some different ideas on there. I throw some more of my mixes. That's actually something else that you can see this year. You're going to see more mixes from me. So find me on the internet, BAE.wav. Come find me. Come have a good time.
Hell yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
First and foremost, I have to shout out Wavy Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Wavy, for just being the most amazing human being you could possibly be at all times. But past being an amazing human being, you are an amazing vibe, an amazing time, an amazing creator, just an amazing, 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 amazing experience to enjoy here on this earth. Because when you're on Wavy time, it's always a good time, right?
My nails don't do what yours do, but
thank you, Wave. I really want to say thank you to Wavy. Thank you. Some other people that I really want to shout out, and I was just telling them this yesterday too, but if you're in Portland and you don't already know Dead Rose, you gotta know Dead Rose, okay? Like, talk about favorite artist. Deddy is like one of my absolute favorite artists. Just his mind is so creative. He does amazing music. He produces, songwrites, but also he's like an actual artist, like in the sense of using hands to create stuff. He does edits. He does paintings. He's just always creating all of these different things. He's an amazing writer, not just songwriter, but like an amazing actual writer. So, I definitely have to shout out those two. I also absolutely have to shout out all of the bays. We are connected on the internet, right? And I have some amazing, amazing supporters who just always show up. They always show up. They always show out. They're fantastic. They're my favorite people in this world. They're beautiful, amazing energy. So big shout out to the bays because everything is for the bays.
Hell yeah. One day we'll have to do my first live stream. I'll bring it back for, and we'll do a fun Q&A, see what they have to say about it.
Oh, I love that.
Oh yeah. All right. Now with that being said, I've got one last question to go.
Okay.
Before we do, I'm gonna steal the camera for just a second. As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation.
Oh, God. Okay, let's do it.
In all of music, what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side? It's been a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should know.
Deep cut. One that everybody wouldn't know, but probably should know. Oh, man. There's like so many different little ones popping up, and I'm just like, which one really would it be? Obscure? See, I just feel like everybody, as big as he was, I feel like regardless of what genre you listen to, you really should listen to True by Avicii. Like, it was just such a good album, like, of just trying different things. Like, maybe not necessarily a deep cut, but it's definitely one that's just like, go back because now in 2025, you'll hear all of these different things in such a different way. And you're just like, oh my gosh, like that's so exciting. But then also, obviously she's been, rising back on social media. Imogen Heap.
Oh, hell yeah.
Wavy and I actually have decided that we need to thoroughly deep dive into her whole catalog. And so, yeah, that's a deep cut that I'm currently,
hell yeah,
working on finding.
That's exciting. And those are both super solid recs. Thank you. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm BAE.wav.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.